Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm Michael Kazilny, and thank you so much for joining us once again for the last 7 years. We've had so many viewers, so many people following our Facebook site, and people are watching. A lady from Mississippi has been emailing in, and another guy from lots of people from India and Byron Bay, New Zealand, and of course we're here in Melbourne, Australia. What I like about the show, everybody goes through tough times, you know, and it's great that we've got a home on Channel 31. We can be authentic. We don't have to put on the fake masks. Because, you know, every person you meet, everybody's got problems in their lives. If you're alive, you've got problems, you know. So many people come up to me every day. I've been around this criminal justice system now for over 25 years. A lot of people I represent in court is because something's happened in their life, you know, a relationship breakup, depression, bipolar, alcoholism, drugs. But, you know, it almost seems that when we go through these tough issues that it's permanent, that it's forever. But if we just realise impermanence, you know, impermanence, that all the good stuff never lasts and all the bad stuff can't last either. On tonight's show, a lovely down-to-earth bloke, Bob is his name, hasn't had the normal life that a lot of people wish for. He's got 4 beautiful kids. He's a great dad. He's been through the drugs and alcohol. He's had the depression, even tried to take his life, one stage of his life. But thank you very much for coming on, Bob.
Thanks for the invite.
We'll hear it from the great man himself. Growing up, Bob, wasn't a fairy tale growing up. You grew up in a boys' home, huh?
Look, I had 4 years in a boys' home. Probably the last formative years of my life, from age 14 to 18. The St Augustine's Boys' Home in Geelong, which is a Catholic boys' home, and I'll just say, with all that implies, we knew who not to be caught alone with. You learn quickly. That's interesting. Now, I'm not going to make any accusation. I don't want to raise that particular can of worms up.
No.
But I'll just say that much about that. Now, I will say that from a 14 and 15-year-old's point of view, I was adequately taken care of. All right, food and clothing, schooling, and all the necessities of life, and I'm grateful for that.
Good. Good. Tell me, why did you end up in a boys' home? Mum and Dad split up, or one of them passed away?
The short answer, Mike, is it Mike or Michael?
Either way.
Either way, Mike.
Call me anything you like.
Well, Mike rolls off the tongue for me. But the short answer really is, as I've told other people, I had 3 parents die on me before I was 13. All right. My father died when I was 6.
Yeah.
My mother died when I was 10, just after I'd been reunited with her. I spent 4 years after my father's death on a farm with step-parents. Then my mother made efforts and got custody of us back, and not long after she died. Then myself.
How did she die?
She died of a heart attack. She was actually on the operating table, one of the early heart transplant attempts here in Australia, and but she didn't make it, unfortunately. And then we went to New Zealand to my father's sister, my aunt. But unfortunately, before I was 13, she had also died of a heart attack. And that's when we came back to Australia. And then we ended up in the boys' home from there. My brother and I and my sister ended up at a girls' home also in Geelong.
Right. Any trouble in the boys' home? You look like a pretty tough guy. If I saw you down the pub, and you gave me I reckon you're a gentle giant by the sounds of it. But were you a bit of a bluer back in the old days?
You grow up tough. Well, I did. I don't know. My brother didn't. My older brother, my slightly older brother, I seemed to be fighting his battles for him all the time. I'm not going to make big of it. Yes, you know, I grew up tough. You either get tough or soft, and I for various reasons, grew hard. 4 years on a farm doing farm labouring work as a formative child meant that I grew fairly strong and strong bones from fresh milk and produce, etc. And my brother, he spent those 4 years in the city, living a city life. So, you know, a boys' home is not the worst place in the world. No. But you do have to stand up. You know, if you don't stand up, you'll be stepped on. And so I managed to be able to stand up for myself and my brother.
Good. Bob, you said you battled 30 years of addictions with drugs and alcohol? And what type of drugs?
Not so much the alcohol. I've never been a drinker.
No.
Praise the Lord. And I mean that. Praise the Lord. That I never really got caught up on alcohol, because I believe that's possibly the most insidious of all of them, the most difficult one, because it's so freely available.
Yes.
No, I was mainly marijuana. And, you know, marijuana is as tough an addiction as any other. It's not so much a physical one as a mental and emotional addiction.
Yes.
And, you know, I did all the other drugs at one time or another. I like to think smart enough.
When you mean the other drugs in your days growing up?
There was no ice, praise the Lord.
There was no ice, there was no ecstasy.
No, I did the heroin, speed, cocaine.
Cocaine.
You know, all the tablets, the uppers and the downers.
It was
I
very
did
expensive.
LSD also.
How did you afford it?
Well, mainly with the marijuana, you know, without giving too much away, I was dealing. That's the way that most smart were feeding their habit. Look, in my youth, in the early 70s, LSD was cheap enough. That was very easy to come by and cheap. All the others, you get up close to people, you get into that world, and you know you always come by it one way or the other.
So addicted for many years, yeah? And so as a result of that, your moods went through a roller coaster ride as well?
I always believed that I was self-medicating and that I needed it. I always believed that I was running from the hurts of my childhood. You know, at 14, I remember telling myself I won't be a victim of my childhood, and yet it turns out that I was, without realising it. I tried. I tried to be a stable and normal human being, and I tried by self-medication, you know, by using the marijuana, and I used it heavily. I was smoking all day, every day. As a sole parent, I make no bones about it.
At the boys' home, Bob, is that like replacing a school, is it? It's a classroom situation? Or?
No, we were sourced out to schools.
To schools?
It was just a place to live.
How was your school life?
I enjoyed school. I did. I wasn't a particularly good student, but I enjoyed my time at school, particularly since it was an all-boys home, and I was one of the lucky few who went to a co-ed school. So, you know, I got to interact.
Did they single you out because these boys are from a boys' home and these people come from a normal family? Was there anything like that, or they didn't know?
No, everybody knew. There was no secrets.
No.
And you got a lot of undue respect.
Right.
You know, or be careful of him was the catch cry, you know, and it made life somewhat easier in school, I suppose. But then, as is always the case, there will be somebody who wants to measure themselves against you, and you know, you've got two choices. You can let them go and let it slide, as I try to so often, or you could stand up and prove one or the other of you was better.
It's all about choice, and we might talk about the choices you made to get out of that boys' home after the next break. It's tough times never last. Don't go away. Welcome back to the show. Hope you're having a lovely night. It's a lovely summer night out there, and hope you're happy tonight. You know, if you're not happy, make a phone call. I'm sure you've got one or two friends. You don't need too many. A lot of people I represent in court are always complaining about bad relationships. You know, a lot of people are suffering. They feel so alone. 1 in 4 relationships apparently is breaking up every year, and then a lot of relationships are just unhappy relationships. A lot of people decide to stay for the children and the financial benefits, but it's difficult relationships, isn't it? It's something they should teach people at school, how to maybe choose the right partner. But it seems like that when we're spending a lot of time with somebody on a continuous basis, it does get very difficult, and sometimes it can become very lonely. And you know, we've got to find a place to almost detach ourselves from all that stuff and all those wars at home. They say live and let live, you know. A good mate of mine, this Buddhist monk, told me many years ago, he said, detach, Michael, detach. Live and let live, you know, don't care too much what other people are doing. You know, just go around and show a bit of loving kindness, but detach. Bob, your relationships, you had a few relationships. Tell me when you left the boys' home, you obviously met a couple of lovely life partners along the way because you've got 4 beautiful children. Yeah.
Well, I walked out of the boys' home at 18. They forced me out. Yep. You can't stay on beyond 18.
Nope.
And I didn't start any serious relationship until 25. And I did take up with a lady at 25, and we had 2 beautiful sons. Unfortunately, as relationships don't always, it didn't last. and she basically walked out. Um, the truth is, she started working on a phone sex line, unknown to me. She just said, "Hey, I've got a job," and I go, "Great, you know, more money. We can save up for our house a little faster." And after a few weeks, I discovered that it was a phone sex line, and I objected because I didn't think it was suitable. And then she told me that she was now going to be a prostitute in North Melbourne, and I said, "Well, it's your life and it's your choices, but you're not bringing that home to my children." And I basically told her she could leave. She could come and see the children when she liked, but she was not bringing that kind of into my life, or into my children's life, in particular my two sons. And she disappeared. She took off to South Australia after not too long, and has had very little, if any, contact with her son since.
And I'll just stop you there. And it's quite amazing, viewers, because I had about probably last year 5 people men who came to me and they said, look, I said, why did you split up? They said they're going through a difficult time. I think they were in court for drink driving, but similar stories. A couple of wives ended up working at some brothels, and they said, no, we're not splitting up. We're getting between $3,000 and $5,000 a week. And they said, you know, they said it's good for the family, and the men just couldn't handle it, so they walked out. And a few other younger fellas, they were engaged, and they said their women decided to work and do at the nudie bars around Melbourne and Sydney. And I mean, there's certainly nothing wrong with those sort of bars, and nothing wrong with legal brothels, but difficult in a relationship sometimes, isn't it? What do you think? Email me about that on the Facebook page to see whether you could be married or engaged to a sex worker. Interesting question. Bob, you obviously couldn't.
No, it's not the sort of thing that you want your children to know about their mother. And you know, and we weren't hurting for money. I was working fairly steadily. Yes, I was smoking a lot of marijuana, but I was paying for that by selling it. And I was working at that time. I was working a 12-hour shift, 7 at night till 7 in the morning, at a factory. So we were making good money, and we were saving up and doing the whole Australian dream thing. So, you know, preparing for the house. But unfortunately, I, being a little naive, I didn't guard my bank account. And when she did disappear off to South Australia, she cleaned it out. And that, well, sent me right back on my heels, as you can imagine. And it took 5 years before I even dared to think about another relationship.
So you were at home in Melbourne with
two sons.
How old were they?
The youngest was 9 months when we broke up, and my older son, he was about just a little over 3 years old.
Wow, so she took off?
Yes.
And did this sex line thing?
Well, yeah, she took off to be a prostitute in North Melbourne, and then she ended up getting into trouble with the cops, as they so often do, over a matter of stolen cheques being passed through her banking account. And then she absconded to South Australia, where she stayed ever since. She
never wanted to see the children again?
No, she had no contact with them at all. She did, in fact, make an attempt to steal my older son. She got, through the South Australian courts, she got a temporary custody order for visitation rights, and she was supposed to have him for 2 weeks. And after 3 months, I finally pinned it down and got back into. I had to go to South Australia and fight for him, and literally, which I did. And why she actually lost was she asked for an adjournment while we were in the courtroom, and I said, "Well, Your Honour, look, I've come from Victoria. I've got nowhere to stay in South Australia, and I need to get back to my other son." And since she'd made no mention of her other son, my older son's brother, Christopher, the court just said, "What other son?" And then it all came out, and she just lost custody immediately. And then I returned home with my older son, and that was really the last contact she had. Christopher has since made contact with her.
What year was that, Bob?
Now you're pushing me. That had to be late 89.
Right.
Well, Christopher was born, hang on, he was born in 87.
And have you ever made inquiries what happened to her? You've heard from friends?
Yeah, Christopher tracked her down, my second oldest, and he went and stayed with her for just recently.
She okay?
But he wants nothing more to do with her.
No.
He stayed there for about 2 weeks, and he came back and said, "That's it, I'm not making any more effort."
No, but I'm sure she's got a good heart too. Because, you know, folks, even... I've been around this crazy criminal justice system for over 25 years now, 10 years on the police force. The amount of domestics I went to, people beating each other up and splitting up, and you know, blood on the walls, and it's quite disgraceful when people get angry when love gets in the way and the bills come in. And You know, it's amazing. We punish the people we love the most. We get angry. You know, anger is such a evil emotion, and doesn't it? It takes us on this roller coaster ride. But I remember when I used to investigate, I used to go there, and there was people on the ground, broken noses, you know, smashed plates, broken windows, kicked down doors. And I remember there was always one story, and the other person's story, and then the truth. But what I've found is that, generally speaking, everybody's good. Everyone's got a good heart. Just that sometimes we muck up. But we'll talk about Bob's story, his inspiration, what he's doing these days very shortly after the next break. Don't go away. Welcome back. I'm Michael Kazilny. Tough times never last, but tough people do. Tough bloke on the couch, lovely guy, went through some tough issues, relationship problems, drugs, suicidal depression, but he got through all that. What's the secret of leading a not always happy, but content life, Bob?
Well, the simplest answer is be happy with what you've got, not sad for what you don't have. It sounds simple, and it's not that tough. It really isn't. If you're always going to be striving for what you haven't got, then you'll never be happy. Determined to be happy, and look around for reasons to be happy. And you know, you won't be the most ecstatic guy in the world, but you know, life has a way of balancing out, doesn't it? I found it has anyway. I've often said to people, I'm as rich as any man in the world. I don't own a house. I've got a small business that's just limping along. It's just paying the bills and keeping me off welfare.
What do you do, my friend?
Tree and stump removals.
Terrific.
Out in Bacchus Marsh. But I've always said I'm as rich as any man because I have 4 children that love and honour me.
Wow.
And you know, and you can't ask for more than that.
No.
It'd be nice to have a house. It'd be nice to have more money in the bank than I've got. It'd be nice to have a comfortable retirement coming
It's a
up.
lovely place, Bacchus Marsh. I love driving down to the court there. You know, people go, it's such a long way, but that road there with all the nice trees and everything, you know, and the old court building and the shops and the people. It's a nice country town.
We Bacchus Marshians don't think it's all that far from Melbourne. It's just a short trip down the road.
Yeah.
As far as, you know. I remember when I lived in Laylaw, and I heard of Bacchus Marsh, I used to think, oh, that's miles away, that's forever out in the country. But it really isn't. It's a 45-minute drive down the highway.
Terrific place.
And I've been there 13 years.
13 years?
As long as God's happy for me to be there, I'm staying.
Wow.
If he asks me to move on, then he'll have a place somewhere else just as good. But I'm happy where I'm at.
So tell me about the life of the great man. You wake up every day, what, 4-bedroom place?
3-bedroom.
And who else lives there?
Well, now it's just 2 of my children.
How old are they?
Well, Bill's about to turn 18 and Rebecca's just turned 16.
Terrific.
So,
Bill brings his girlfriend home?
Not yet. No. He's Bill's a stay-at-home sort of a lad. He's only just left school.
Good.
So he's still finding out where his place in the world is.
You're eating healthy?
We try. I'm probably not as healthy as I'd like, and I know that my current fiance would like me to eat a lot healthier.
Oh, see,
but,
there we go. You're quite a achiever. There's a lady in the house too.
No, we're not living together. We are fine Christian people, and that's frowned upon in the Christian world. It's not that we were doing anything wrong, but we're taking it slow and steady. We've been together 8 months.
How did you meet this lovely lady? What's her name?
Well, Teresa is her name.
Send her love and
Teresa.
best wishes. Send her love and best wishes.
Well, love and best wishes. No, she knows.
Wow,
I met her through the church.
Nice.
Okay, she attends our church on a semi-regular basis. She attends another church also in Bacchus Marsh.
And she went through a difficult time also, huh?
She's had her tough times as well. But we're both on the other side of that. We're in a happier place.
And do you guys have barbecues from time to time and at your place? Good times?
We share between the two. Our houses are not that far away. In fact, just a 3-minute walk. So you know, we've known about and of each other for a long, long time. It was only like I say, about 8 months ago that the real attraction, and you know, look. The truth is, I spent nearly 14 years running from relationships.
Right.
After my last relationship.
Hurt you so much?
It did. It was a painful one. It was the most painful relationship. No children from that one, and it only lasted 18 months.
And it made you feel like the loneliest man at the MCG when you broke up.
I ran away from that relationship, and then discovered that it hurt me more than the others. The others were breaks that I saw coming. This one, I just love this woman so much. So.
And loneliness, Bob, is a terrible thing, isn't it?
When you can't be lonely when you're raising 4 children.
But after the split up?
After the split up, there was...
sadness or loneliness?
There was a lot of sadness. That's where the depression started. And that led to the darkest place in my life.
Right.
When I did, in fact, prepare for suicide. And
that low?
Absolutely. I stood for 3 days in a row while my children were at school. I stood in the kitchen, literally with the knife under my throat, a big carving knife, and the tea towel on there so the handle wouldn't slip. I'd worked it all out. But I stood there and I thought, I can't let my children come home and find me.
I'm sorry you got to that state, and it sounds like you almost needed to hit rock bottom to really build yourself up to help to inspire people.
Rock bottom is the place where God does his best work. And I found that straight away.
I think that's when wonderful miracles happen. Once you're exposed, once you're vulnerable, and once you hit rock bottom and the defenses are low, that's when we see all the miracles. And look at him now. He's got the children, he's smiling, he's got the church group, he's got his lovely fiancée. He could have been 7 foot under, but you're not. See, that everything happens for our maximum benefit, doesn't it?
When you let God control your life,
yes.
in my view, and and I'm not trying to push my views on other people,
no.
But I found personally that it was just after then that I was put into contact with this church, the Bacchus Marsh Life Church, which is a Pentecostal church, and I went down there, all suspicious and thinking, well, I'll just see what these people are about. But they drew me in. They are a wonderful bunch of people, and they're so friendly and so open and so willing to give of themselves that I felt churlish in not giving something back.
Wow.
And I've been there just over 7 years. I'm a deacon in the church now.
Nice.
And it's just my way of giving something back to them.
Nice.
And I've never been happier in all my life as I have
terrific.
been where I'm at now.
That is terrific, mate. That is terrific. And alcohol, drug-free for how long, or addiction-free for how long?
What is it, 2012?
Many years.
Yes, we're talking just after I joined the church.
Wow.
God literally put his hands around me and helped me walk away from the serious marijuana addiction. I actually went cold turkey. I just put the bong down and haven't looked back.
If I said to you, Bob, I'm going through a bit of a difficult turmoil myself at the moment. Come on, let's just have a nice Corona and share a joint with me. Come on. Be a good friend.
I've had close friends who should know better say exactly that to me, and I've said, you should know better. So, I don't drink for a start, or rarely drink. I have a very quiet one or two here or there, and I will never go back to the marijuana.
So what you're saying, it's got to be 100% commitment.
It does.
For the people who are drinking too much or on drugs who may want to give up. It's got to be a full-on commitment, doesn't it? It's
got to be 100%. It's got to be permanent. You can't. Look, I went through hell addicted to marijuana. It doesn't sound like much. I understand that a lot of people are saying, well, you should try alcohol. You should have tried the 30 years I had. Well, an addiction is an addiction. And when something else has got you, and when something else controls your life like it did mine, and it got in the way, and so many decisions that I made in the name of getting marijuana instead of in the name of my children shames me today. Now, my children haven't suffered too much, but literally there were times when they would wait till next week to get the shoes they needed today because I needed my marijuana today. And Bob, that's soul destroying.
Bob, you're a terrific fella, a decent human being and a great father, and you're going to be a great husband to your fiancée, and I know you're going to have some fantastic few decades on this planet. And thank you very much for sharing.
Great, thanks for your
time. Great input. And thank you very much, viewers, for watching. Love and best wishes to all of you. Remember, tough times never last. It's all very impermanent. Everything will get better. Tomorrow is a brand new day. All the best. Good night.